I progress very slowly, for nature reveals herself to me in very complex ways. Cézanne to Émile Bernard, Aix, May 12, 1904. The more time you spend with Cézanne's oil paintings and watercolors, the more complexity you discover. For Cézanne, each part of the composition was equally important: the foreground, the background, the objects, and even the empty space between them. Close examination of 3 works in the Art Institute's collection reveals how the artist constructed them. He left visible traces of his process, creating a palpable tension between the artwork's illusion and its physical reality. Scientific imaging techniques take us below the surface of the painting to understand how Cézanne developed color, form, and space in his oil painting, The Vase of Tulips. In the X-ray, we see that he made a significant change to the composition. He first painted a different grouping to accompany the vase of flowers: 3 oranges and 1 larger fruit, which he ultimately painted over. But vestiges of the covered-over fruit remain in the final composition, like this orange, partially visible through Cézanne's open brushwork. Rather than situating his still lifes against flat, monochrome walls, Cézanne painted his backgrounds with vibrant and varied colors. Using an imaging technique called infrared false color, we can see subtle and otherwise imperceptible aspects of the artist's paint manipulation and layering. Here, he used different pigment mixtures to achieve visually similar hues, indicated by the blue and pink areas in the background. Even without scientific imaging, we can discover aspects of Cézanne's process through close examination of his surfaces. In this work, his initial compositional sketch, made in dilute blue paint, is visible at the edges of some elements. At different stages of his painting, Cézanne used fluid strokes of blue. Variations in their color and transparency imbue the work with a dynamic, vibrating rhythm. Cézanne also used a range of blues in his watercolor, The 3 Skulls. These strokes hover slightly above the skulls, giving each its own atmosphere. These blue contoured lines work in concert with a loose graphite drawing highlighted in this infrared image, which remains partially visible on the surface. Broken strokes of cobalt blue mark the skull's contours, while their recessed cavities are shaded with indigo. The shadowed areas between the skulls are actually created by dense, overlapping strokes of red and blue watercolor. Cézanne also used blue to delineate the details in the floral textile pattern. Here, short, broken strokes of cobalt blue, one of the most opaque watercolor pigments, contrast with more translucent colors, giving shape to individual flowers and leaves. Several of these same strategies also appear in Cézanne's oil painting, The Basket of Apples. The precarious composition plays with our perception and sense of balance. The tabletop is tilted, edges don't quite line up behind the white cloth, and the fruits seem about to fall out of the tipped basket. Infrared examination shows that Cézanne planned many of these elements in a fairly detailed underdrawing, including the disjointed parts of the table's front edge and the leaning bottle, though both were modified in the painting stage. In the paint layer, Cézanne used color in place of tonal gradations to model 3-dimensional space. This detail shows where he used heavy, solid brushstrokes of green, orange, and red to convey the round, firm forms of the apples. Throughout the painting, color both creates and breaks the sense of illusion. Cézanne indicated different planes in the white cloth using subtle chromatic shifts. The cloth is not actually white at all, but a range of pale pink, yellow, blue, green, and gray hues. The red border, added in the final stages of painting, often follows its own course over the crumpled fabric. Across these three works, we can see how Cézanne used complementary techniques: the drawn line, both visible and hidden, layered color, and unconventional perspective, while embracing the distinct visual properties of opaque oil paint and transparent watercolor. Combined, these strategies show the artist rethinking the representation of volume and form and engaging with the viewer's perception. As we dissect his process through close observation and advanced imaging techniques, we can better appreciate the ways that Cézanne's works challenged conventional methods of representing the three-dimensional world in a flat picture.